Councillor Zhao, let me start with you. The unveiling this morning of the new leadership of China. What does it mean for China?
Well, this Congress has attracted more attraction from the world. I know that. The Congress was held amid complex global economic and political situations. It has laid a solid foundation for the country's socio-economic development and made contributions to the stability and the development of the Asia-Pacific region and the rest of the world.
And that is exactly the reason why it's got so much attention, because of the complexities within the global economic atmosphere. The issue is, will the new set of leaders make any reforms, change anything in as far as the economy in China is concerned?
Yes, I actually, during this Congress, they developed a practical and achievable blueprint for China to build an overall well-off society by 2020. So you know that if China grows, it will affect the rest of the world. The blueprint for China to build the well-off society, and maybe I think somebody knows that several days ago during the Congress, it made a objective to achieve, that is to double the 2010 GDP by 2020, and also the per capita income of each person by 2020. That is a great objective for the China's economy, and also I think it's good for the world economy.
Indeed, but practically what will change then in order for China to achieve those objectives?
I'm sorry?
What will China do in order for it then to be able to achieve the objectives set out in that blueprint? What will change?
First, I think the economy, the livelihood of the common people. And if China can maintain a pace like 7.5%, economic the vitesse to move forward, it is not only good for China itself, but also good for the world.
One of the issues that has been raised, and it was raised by President Hu Jintao right at the beginning of the Congress, was how important it is that China must deal with corruption across the board.
Yeah. Across the board.
Yeah. Is China able to deal with corruption? Can China put an end to corruption across the spectrum?
Yes. I think this morning you see in the news that the new head of the Anti-Graft Commission was elected is Mr. Wang. He has ever been the vice premier of the State Council. Actually, anti-corruption or anti-graft is a common problem for most of the countries, or for all of the countries. It is actually a long task for all the countries. So I think with the new elected leadership, they will give more efforts on this regard. And you mean that will it be a end? I think for most of the country, even for South Africa, for the United States, we need more efforts on this regard.
Another challenge facing the new leadership is the issue of the divisions between the rich and poor, and the likelihood of that then leading to social instability in China.
Yes.
What is the plan? How does China deal with that?
Well, with the development of the economy, we need to minimize the gap between the rich and the poor. But the first thing is that we need to develop the economy. 20 or 30 years in China, there's a very minimum gap between the rich and the poor, but all of the people, the whole level of the livelihood is not very high. nowadays, with the development of the economy, the level of the life is lifted to a high level. The gap is between maybe a little bigger, but it will be resolved with the faster developing economy. So I actually am confident to this problem with the development of the economy. We will resolve it properly.
Matthew MacDonald, firstly, the challenges facing the new leadership in China.
I think the last few years have been challenging for China, particularly economically, and certainly the last year has been particularly challenging politically. Economically, they've seen a slide in their productivity. They're coming off the back of a recession, and also politically, we've seen these very embarrassing scandals in the Chinese political sphere. Most dramatically, the Bolshoi scandal. So it's been a relatively hard few years for China. And so I think one of the things that the new government or the new regime or Xi Jinping's regime is going to want to do is try and project authority and stability to not only to the Chinese but and the rest of the party, but also internationally. They're going to want to project stability because China's been in some turmoil. So I think that's one of the first things that they're going to want to do. Reassure the economic prospects for China, and then, of course, reassure the authority of the party.
Well, but how will that square up against the promise of political reform?
Again, political reform comes in many shapes and forms. I think what people often need to do when they say political reform is possibly specify what do they mean. Political reform comes in different shapes. So I think there are talks of political reform, and certainly some of the high up leaders in previous dare I say, governments or party committees have also talked political reform, and there's been some movement in the provinces, etc. But I think people need to specify what they mean. I don't think you're going to see a massive about face as you saw 50, 60 years ago. I think it's going to be a very slow process. As people's livelihoods improved, as the ambassador mentioned, their political desires and needs are going to broaden as well. And I think it's going to be a very organic process. And recall, of course, there's a lot of pressure inside China for reform. So in terms of reform, I think people need to specify what they mean and also recognize that there are reforms happening. In some cases, it takes many different shapes and forms.
Let me talk about Xi Jinping now as the new leader himself. Firstly, does he have enough influence within the Communist Party?
Well, it's been an interesting couple of weeks because, of course, you realize this change of leadership has been on the cards for a long time. Even last year, there was mutterings about what the new standing committee would look like, and his name was very much on the cards. Beginning of this year, here at the center where I work, we were already looking at what he would be like and what the challenges he faced are. Yeah. In terms of Xi Jinping himself, it's important to realize that he's a princeling. Much of Chinese politics can be divided in terms of the factions that operate in the political upper echelons. He's a princeling. He comes from a particular political background, if you like, very, very privileged, if you like. He's often considered very conservative in terms of what the politics of when he was governor of the province that he governed. And then also the thing to look at is he's quite strikingly anti-corruption. He's talked a lot in various speeches that have been recorded about how the party needs to clean up its act and how different party leaders shouldn't look for what he mentioned. There shouldn't be a culture of having dinners all the time. He believes in hard work. He believes the party must clean up its act, and I think that's something that he's going to take into this leadership role.
And again, I'm going to go back to the councillor and just wonder, councillor, whether it matters that it's Xi Jinping and not Hu Jintao anymore. Do leaders make a difference within the broader political spectrum in China? Individuals, do they make a difference, or is it a collective issue?
I could tell you that the new leadership has been elected, has about three characteristics. The first one is they are growing up under the red flag. I don't know if our listeners could understand that. That is to say that they are born around the 1940s, 1950s. It's around the founding of the People's Republic of China. So they are different from their predecessors. That means they are firm supporters of the reform and opening up policy of China. The second one is that they are more familiar with the national conditions. So they will address state issues from the viewpoint of common people and focus more on improving people's livelihood. Their working experiences enable them to know that the people need, what the people need most. This is an ability that cannot be learned from the books and is their big advantage.
Councillor, please talk to me about whether or not the new leadership is likely to concentrate mostly on domestic issues in China, or will obviously foreign issues also be important?
Well, of course, all the leaders will concentrate on the domestic issues first, then the foreign affairs. So for the new leadership, they are facing more challenges now. The first is, I think, you can see today's media around the world. Mm-hmm. The first challenge should be the economy affairs, because it does not affect China itself, but also affect the whole world. So for the new leadership, they need to analyze, to make more efforts to see the new situation, the real situation of the economy now. It is getting, it is getting better than last year, and the growth is still coming forward. So they still need some time to analysis the situation and make some projects to make the economy moving forward.